Another week, another recap. So this week actually started off with Jordan winning his third championship. Well, the Bulls winning their third championship. I should not single him out. This is a full Bulls documentary.
You said what you said.
Yeah, I mean, we all know the truth. I'm just trying to be nice. You know what I'm saying? But it started off with his third championship, and then and then it went into the passing of his father and whatnot. So that was a whole thing, but it ended up with the media portraying it as it's Michael's fault, essentially.
Yeah.
With this gambling issues, they tried to tie his only flaw to them and try to tie it in with a life-changing event for Michael Jordan and making it even worse for him. You know what I'm saying? So what do you guys think about this, what's the word? Like folklore, if I may say. Or no, conspiracy theory. That's the word I was looking for. That's the phrase I was looking for.
I think even if that was something that happened, like trying to tie his father's death to gambling specifically, and his suspension, his retirement to a suspension.
That as well.
Two things don't make sense to me, and we were discussing a little bit before. It's like you don't suspend the cash cow. So like if Kobe Bryant or LeBron James, we always talk about the best players of the era, obviously, are going through something, you're gonna suspend him. You know what I mean? And that's why even like me and Juan were playing around earlier. Do you suspend Floyd Mayweather? Floyd Mayweather's his own boss, so it's a little bit different, obviously. But do you suspend Conor McGregor upon his will? No, you don't, because he makes you too much money.
Right.
Doesn't make sense. In regards to his father, I'll put it this way, that I think that even if it did happen, it was beyond him to know.
Yeah.
I think in his deepest heart, like regardless, he knows that that's something he would never want.
Right.
Obviously. And if it was about the gambling, he wouldn't know.
Right.
You know what I mean? So because obviously it's something that's been talked about for,
Right. And these were two younger guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like 18. They were 18 years old when they did it.
It's pretty much just like two dumb kids just being dumb.
Then
you know what I mean?
Also, he was driving a nice car. Probably had some jewelry, and they saw he was an old dude.
Right.
I mean,
so
there's
they tried
to take advantage
so
of the situation.
much that goes into it. And, granted, you could say, the mobs and stuff like that were as smart then as they are now, at least so far as having people handle situations.
Right.
You can get a gullible young kid to go, and I'm not making the case for this, but you can get a gullible young kid or two kids to go do this job for X amount of dollars. Yeah. Because we need to make this message.
You could, but also we got to think about, this is Michael Jordan we're talking about. You know what I mean? His dad. So what I'm saying is, if these kids were to pull up on his dad, and if they knew that it was his dad,
right,
they probably wouldn't have robbed him. You know what I'm saying? It's not saying like for sure or nothing like that, but I'm just saying Michael Jordan had a really huge impact on society back then.
On the world, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so he had a lot of respect from pretty much everybody.
Right, and I think we would end up talking way too many hypotheticals, but when we're talking about the mob and actually having people hired,
if it was that, I'm just saying, like, if these two kids, you know what I'm saying, like, in what really happened, you know what I'm saying, if these two kids knew it was his dad, it probably wouldn't have happened.
I don't know.
Mob situation, that's totally different.
Yeah. Like, because that's the tie, though. That's the draw. It's like, it would be a mob tie, so... if that was the case, then you're getting paid what you're getting paid. And we already knew, you're going to know, obviously there's not too many words that are spoken on. But I can't even say that I knew exactly what Michael Jordan's dad looked like for the longest time. So even in that era to know specifically, it's not like he was like LeVar Ball.
Right.
He was in the forefront of Michael Jordan's career.
Out there.
Yeah,
so there was no social media out there to keep
exactly.
people.
He would just do a couple interviews.
So my thing would be is just even if they told him straight up, this is the situation that we're dealing with. But granted, like I said, it's kind of hard to say because that's way too under wraps, realistically. Way too under wraps for...
Yeah, definitely. But, it's very unfortunate that it happened, and it's more unfortunate the media tried to twist and turn things the way that they did. You know what I'm saying? But Let's go ahead and move on to what happened after.
I would say based off like that whole situation, I think that was kind of easy to see why he retired. Just kind of like putting two and two together. Just having your dad die and on top of it, pretty much getting blamed for it when you're like, I had no clue.
Right.
Like, how am I supposed to know it's supposed to happen?
Yeah.
So I think that also is like another reason why like you could kill probably the suspension talk. I think he was genuinely just like his body was just over. Like he probably knew he was gonna come back at a later point. Just that he knew he's like, I gotta take a break.
But he didn't take much of a break though.
It's like 18 months. That's probably what he probably just
took a
wanted
break
a year
from
off.
basketball, but he went to baseball where the media is gonna follow him. You know what I'm saying? So he didn't take a break from dealing with media necessarily. It's just
I do think basketball media and baseball media did differ a little bit, but I mean I think some of the same questions.
Well, then
would
again,
come
remember that
you're gonna get those reporters,
remember that cover they came and did him talking about like
they screwed him over either way.
All right,
but I think it was majority about what his dad told him. So at day's end, I don't think it was.
I think that's why
that.
It was something he always wanted. His dad probably was like, all right, I'm gonna do it for him. Like,
he said,
which made it easier for him to cancel out that noise. Probably.
Yeah.
And I think he specifically felt in his head that
it probably made him happy.
This was the right thing to do. I mean, he's passed away, and he told me this was the right thing to do, so I'm gonna do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah. If anybody earned it, like the right to do it, it was him.
And then he came back wearing the 4-5.
Not to play games with you.
It's to aim at you.
Bro, you the smithereens.
I was hoping somebody would pick up that live. All right, but yeah. So he came back wearing the 4-5.
Wait, before he comes back, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I think one thing that was stressed enough, and you can see around the baseball world and baseball Twitter, like obviously, I'm not. I mean, I think out of the three of us, Juan might know a little baseball more than both of us. Well, you know a good amount. I probably know least. Like if anything, you know what I'm saying, but. To bat 200 like he did, everybody, you could see how optimistic, even actual baseball players, like you said, Terry Francona,
World Series winning managers.
I mean, think about baseball is like the one thing where if you do it 30% of the time hitting, you're like elite.
Yeah,
right.
Think about no other sports like that.
And I think so. The biggest thing was like as the pictures painted, it's like it's always funny we joke like Jordan was terrible, but he was gradually getting better, and it was only seeming to get better at that time. It was
only going to be a matter of time.
Yeah. Which is exactly worth it. He was going to work at it. He was always going to play maybe have a realistic chance.
But then, he did return. I just wanted to say that because the picture that was, displayed for him is crazy. Bro.
Exactly, yeah. A lot of people like to bash on him during his baseball stint. But, he barely played. And then the season got cut short.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm talking about I've seen at least
there's so much that happened.
20, well, not 20 specifically, but I can say I called like at least like 5 players with jaw drop, like talking about they couldn't even hit 200 in the minors.
And they were saying like some of our good prospects, like it was like one of their good ones that couldn't even do it.
Exactly, or let alone start the season, start your baseball career with 15 straight games with a hit.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that comes with expectation. You want Michael Jordan to come in and be the GOAT at baseball too.
Right.
Come on, man.
When when his trainer was talking about it, he had to completely shift his whole body.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, into a baseball body.
Speaking of the comeback.
You know what I'm saying. So there's a whole bunch, and then back to the comeback, where 4-5, where he didn't really play that well in those first few games, obviously due to the fact that he had to switch his body right back to basketball shape. You know what I'm saying? And he was gassed. I mean, he
still dropped 31.
Right.
In a couple of those games.
Exactly. You know what I mean? He still had, high scoring games here and there, but, you can only do so much, you know what I'm saying, in a short period of time, with a lack of stamina.
Yeah. Who did you get ripped by? Nick. He got ripped by
Nick Anderson.
There you go.
Nick Anderson
from the Magic.
And then at that point,
he threw the ball away at the end too.
And at that point, that's when they were talking about, he's not what he used to be. So,
but he was like, hold on.
Yeah. And then, mid-series he switched from 45 to 23.
Yeah.
And he
played like 20 games with him.
Played decent in 23, and then
and then
Horace got revenge though there.
Right.
But they just didn't complete it. Like it didn't matter. Like you know what I mean? The Rockets were on the other side,
win.
and unfortunately. Regardless of that series going what it did, it's tough to even say that the Bulls would have did it.
Right.
The Rockets seemed like the team that year when you go look back at all that. So.
Exactly, and also when he returned, the Bulls weren't even that good to begin with. So they were a low seed. going against,
having problems and all that.
Like it almost, if you take a look at that moment in history, it almost had to happen.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Because if let's just even say they won 4 in a row, I don't know about 6. Because you talk about hunger, you talk about the will to want to prove people wrong, and that's the consistent in Michael Jordan's life, is finding the reason.
A motivation to come at somebody.
Finding the reason, the motivation, like Juan said, to, push the bill on something.
Right.
So, losing there, obviously, like you said, leads you on in.
And with him trying to find the reason, all he did was, not all he did, but he did a lot of trash talk.
Yeah.
Or he would just wait because somebody would, get too happy when they, maybe got a bucket on him or something like that. And then, thanks for the reason.
I want to bring up Bradford Smith real quick. That story that they were talking about. Supposedly he drops 37 on him. Jordan can't make shots. Supposedly he tells Jordan, good game, Mike.
Right.
That set him off. Next game, he talked about, I'm going to score the same points he scored all game in 1/2, which
36.
he pretty much did.
He had 36.
He had a 37. And then at the end, they asked him, bro, he supposedly Bradford Smith didn't even speak English. He said, I never said anything to him. They asked Jordan, was that true? He's like, yeah, I made it up. That's the type of stuff he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, making, and that's, and bro, just give you just plain
he ruined his career pretty much.
Plain as day, words, psycho.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Psycho.
Sociopath.
Period. You know what I'm saying? If you...
He was obsessed.
And if you make that up, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, that's what you need.
Just to give a reason.
Yeah, you need that mindset at that point, obviously.
Bro,
definitely.
I saw Wilbur on TV. He was talking about he came to interview Jordan to ask him about Alonzo Mourning because he was a rook on Charlotte. And he got offended. Man, you came over here to Chicago to interview me about Alonzo Mourning? Sure enough, went, ruined, destroyed him, came back, and then told him, what he actually felt about him. He's he pretty much was yeah, I just needed, something to, come at him.
Exactly, yeah, man. So, and then moving forward, after, taking the L and whatnot, you gave him a full off season to get his body back. And then, also, Space Jam.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? So he had the full. If they would have went to the finals, would Space Jam have happened that year?
I think they still would have.
Yeah, I think that okay, so this is my thing, right? I think you get to finals, and that's where I asked, does it happen how it happens? Because he almost needed all the time that he took.
Right.
So from losing there was pretty ample because you still got to finish a series with Houston.
Yeah.
But I think also those pickup games he was picking up tendencies for all the dudes he was playing. He had to go through.
Which leads me to the next question.
Where he's playing chess, not checkers.
Exactly. I love that quote so much. But if they win the ship, so do they get Dennis then? Or do they get that?
No, if they win the
ship,
they don't feel. They probably more than likely feel a little bit more comfortable. But Orlando pushed the bill already,
right?
With Horace Grant, the physicality in that series already let you know, and that's the issue. That's why I'm telling you right now. There's not a
right, and then probably seeing Akeem on the other side dominate.
Of all, you had to literally, go toe to toe with Orlando. So you're looking at 7.
Right.
And if you're not looking at 7, they would have to sweep them for me to change my mind at all.
Yeah.
But the physicality is what wore what they had down. And then you got to go play Akeem Olajuwon, arguably the greatest 5 of all time. You know what I mean? In between him and Kareem, I think there's only 2 standing. Yeah. You could argue, but I mean, you have to go do that. So after they take that L, maybe they look at that because physicality was the thing, regardless. But I don't know if they actually take a look at it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what made them take a look was Horace Grant and company. Just beating the hell out of them.
And it's crazy. Out of all those players that they were scouting, you know what I'm saying? They picked up Dennis.
Yeah.
Perfect.
With the perfect fit.
And he fit in like a glove.
Yeah. I mean, you think that he's low maintenance, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, that man, he's not low maintenance at all. Yeah. On the court, while playing the game, he's low maintenance because you don't got to do anything for him. He'll do everything for himself and for you guys.
Facts.
Yeah. But off the court, you have what you have with Dennis.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? But they won their 4th championship, and it happened to be on Father's Day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That was a huge moment in sports.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just because, obviously, being Michael Jordan, but, you know, it had a lot to do with, like, that was his motivation for that one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because he was looking for, I mean, people thought that, you know, who was it? Crap. I was trying to think. The reporter asked him if he was looking for motivation from someone else, and he was like, "No, I'm good." Oh, Gary Payton.
Yeah.
He was like, "I had no problem with Gary. I had my minds on other things."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was his dad. You know what I'm saying? On Father's Day. That's why he, you know what I'm saying, probably went extra hard that night to make sure. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
And not to mention, like, if you want to be real with yourself, Gary Payton talks, so
he does.
That's enough. That's enough motivation on that court, on that time, that time.
Yeah,
ultimately,
Gary
the motivation
Payton's probably like the best trash talker ever.
And ultimately, the motivation was obviously, I wouldn't say his father and doing it for him, etc., right, to make him proud. But on the court at that moment, boy, all that talking that Gary used to do.
Exactly. So,
even though that was Jordan's most competition of somebody guarding him, that was statistically his worst finals. Which I kind of wish he kind of gave him more props when he was like, I had no problem with the
Gary
glove.
only held him for like 2 games.
Yeah, because
when he held him,
just because George Karl,
right?
George Karl was the lightweight, but I mean when he held him, he started averaging like he was like 31 to I want to say like 23 points per game.
From game 4 to 6, when GP started guarding him, he was 22 to
16. He made it tough, but let's move on to next week.
I have something to say about that.
Oh, go ahead.
Nah.
You want to say it? Go ahead. Say it.
Because I can't. It's not gonna click right away. I think that I definitely haven't thought about that. But no, I did just want to get into like final takeaway real quick before we do cut. At 2 times during this episode, you've seen the realest thing you can see from Michael Jordan. 2 times. One time was when his father passed away. Raw emotion. That's why people love him. Just like his first championship. Raw emotion. That's why people love him. Because you work so goddamn hard to get where you get at the end of the day.
Right.
It should be that. The second time you've seen raw emotion from him was when they cut it. At the end, he literally was tearing up at the fact that obviously these things affect him. People, what people make him out to be, it showed that it finally showed that it affects Michael Jordan.
Right.
It never really shows that it affects him until that point.
That's a really good point.
He started tearing up, and then he stated he wants the best for his teammates, obviously, and they had to cut the episode because he was gonna cry. He was like, the tears were gonna flow right on him. But I mean, it just shows that
he cried
really,
at the thought nobody wanted to be as competitive as him. He couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, but it just shows that he really cares, and like it really breaks.
That's always been the thing. All these players say at the end of the day, like they don't care what people say about him. Like it's proof. When you ask any of them once they retire, they're
human.
They're like, there's no human person that could like just not.
It's almost required that they say that. You know
right.
Yeah, like
just to get through things.
Yeah, you can't show your weakness
because it's like getting bullied in school. You know what I'm saying? You react to it, they're gonna keep going because that's what they're aiming for.
Especially media, all they're looking for is that reaction because they know they can come back to it and that you give them exactly what they want.
Yeah.
That's why KD always gets antagonized.
That's why he got to learn. Like,
I think the whole thing flashed before his eyes, kind of though. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like his whole career kind of flashed before his eyes at that moment.
And he was talking about winning and how people just don't understand that.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like honestly, that's how I felt about it since the beginning of time. Like regardless, how you want to look at it is how you're going to look at it. But we've been on the court, at the same time, and we've said some pretty derogatory things to each other. But I mean,
I don't want to get into how we are on the court when we're on there together.
But I mean, it's I feel like it's all in competitive nature to,
right. Yeah,
no,
exactly. Because,
I think that's what it comes down to.
We want to win. You know what I'm saying? But, we also grew up in that era. We grew up in that era.
Huh?
We grew up in that era, though.
Built like that, cuz.
You know what I'm saying? The late 90s, early 2000s, late 2000s. But now it's,
cash money.
We know what it is now. But go ahead, drop a comment below. Let us know what you guys think. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm really ready for next week. I'm like borderline not ready, though, because it's the end of that.
I wish it was more.
Right.
Yeah.
It could be more. They're missing a lot, like 2.
Hopefully they keep jumping around.
Yeah. Hopefully they show us like some outtakes or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like the next
episode?
week. Yeah.
I want a full episode just hearing Jordan trash talk.
I could do that as well as a full episode of Dennis Rodman 24/7. For sure.
Following
he should get his own show for sure.
Dennis.
Yeah.
But go ahead, drop a comment below. Stay tuned.